listening to Second Wind with Joyce Buford, where women who are ready to expand their life adventure discover the tools to stop playing small and tap into the courage required to enjoy their second wind. Welcome. Welcome to Second Wind. Let me tell you a little bit about our guest, Elizabeth Hamilton-Guarino. Now, Elizabeth is a very busy lady. Let me tell you, man. Oh, man. Elizabeth is the Chief Executive Officer of Compliance for, as well as a founder of the Best Ever You Network. As a trusted leader, she is a consultant, a trainer, a speaker, a best-selling author, as well as one of those has been a best-selling, as I say, but she's also written 8 other books. Elizabeth provides development and training to individuals and organizations around the world. Elizabeth serves as a leadership advisor for the Olympia Snow Women's Leadership Institute and is a member of the Forbes Business Council. She is a certified master coach. Now, her books reflect that she in her life has over time had multiple life-threatening food allergies. Elizabeth and Sally Huss co-authored 3 best books, children's books, A Lesson for Every Child, Learning About Food Allergies, Self-Confidence, Sandy, and Best Ever You. So she's committed to that also with her books and sharing that message with young children as well as adults. Born in Minneapolis, Minnesota, grew up in Bettendorf, Iowa, and graduate of St. Ambrose University at Davenport. Now she lives in Maine. Welcome.
Thank you so much. That was good. That was a lot to get.
That is.
You could have just said, "Here's Elizabeth," and go read all about her somewhere else. But no, but thank you for reading all that. That's awesome.
I mean, there's so much on this page. It's really hard to not talk about all of it because I think it's wonderful. You've accomplished so much. You know, I always like to talk about the transitions because so many of my listeners have gone through many transitions, as we all do. But there are some that we really, really remember, maybe because of the severity of the whatever it could be. But those are those. So would you be so kind as to share the transition that kind of spiraled you into a different direction?
Yes, I will. So a lot of my work is based on my father being a stroke survivor and me also having some life-threatening food allergies. But I'm going to talk about my dad first because I think it's more important to talk about him. He was a stroke survivor from 2004 to 2018.
Wow.
And wow is right. He survived stuff that is just not survivable. And he had a will to live that was just crazy cool. And there was so much to learn from that. A lot of sadness, very bumpy illness, very sad to watch someone decline and pass away and all these things. But he had a stroke in the middle of the living room, and my brother was wise enough to recognize it as a stroke and call 911. So that saved his life.
Yeah.
And then from there, he survived things, again, multiple strokes and things like that. And finally he got to the point where he was in a rehab facility, which is also a hard place to come out of as well. But, if you're in the ICU like that, people don't generally walk out of the ICU. They have a bell in each ICU for the most part that you come back and ring it on the anniversary where you left. And he did that, that kind of thing. So it was pretty insurmountable, but he did it. Anyway, Sister Kenny, he was in a rehab facility and they said, okay, we're going to give your dad a speech therapy session. And which my mom and I were like, okay, how's that going to go? Kind of thing. And anyway, so we're going to play the alphabet game. And she said, Jim, when I say A, tell me what word comes to your mind. And she warned us that most people, drool and say, or don't say anything at all. And we're like, oh no. Okay. So my dad said aardvark. Yeah, aardvark. And aardvark, yep. And then came benevolence, courage, determination, excellence. F was a swear word that I changed to faith. Goodness, happiness, integrity, joy, love, all just an inspirational list of words. And he put his foot down and said, I'm living through this, and watch me in that moment. And it was a pretty wild moment. I scrambled for my journal to kind of like write down what he was saying, kind of thing. Cause I always carry journals because I'm a writer. And that became my first book, Percolate, Let Your Best Self Filter Through, which is a Hay House book also about change, but it's all coffee metaphors but there's a change process in that as well. But it's very metaphorical, if you will. And that's really what started this whole thing. Up to that point, I had life-threatening food allergic reactions and felt like a total victim. Like total woe is me mode. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute here. Yeah, my dad, he had a message, and did he say it loud and clear to all of us. And I can remember some bumpy times where he would go back from the rehab facility back into the ICU. It's just a struggle to climb out of that kind of deal. Right. And there was one point where the doctors loved our family, because there's a lot of us. There's 11 kids, a bunch of grandkids. I mean, there's a lot of people. So we would just pack the ICU room to the point where they're like, you guys have to, like, half of you have to leave, kind of thing. But there was one doctor, he was in the ICU, and there was one doctor, and we as a family had to console the doctor. He came in and he's like, I just can't save his life. I just don't see this working out. His heart isn't functioning right, and the doctor started crying, and he's like, he's such a great guy. I would have loved to play basketball with him. We're like hugging the doctor as he's crying. I'm like, it's gonna be okay, he's gonna live, watch, kind of thing. And we plastered my dad's wall. My mom's really inspirational in guiding people through this process of being sick. She's like, watch what we're going to do here, kind of thing. And we all got a lesson from mom on how to deal with somebody in the ICU, for sure. But we plastered the wall with pictures of ourselves, and did shifts to make sure nobody was alone in the hospital. He was never alone. Right. He wasn't just left there in the ICU to, whatever happens kind of thing. And so we as a family really pulled him to survival, maybe even. Yeah. Anyway, that's a long-winded story, but that's
you have a lot of power in prayer. I tell you, when you can get together in prayer. Yeah. My goodness, with all those people in your family.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The power of the prayers that we put forth, and the positive energy, and it was palpable. It really was. The nurses were like, I've never seen anything like this. And I'm like, well, you haven't seen us yet, and hopefully you won't again. And, that kind of thing. But, his sheer will to live was crazy cool. And there's a part in my book where I talk about him, in that book anyway, talking about him smiling on a ventilator. Yeah, that was him. It's like, I'm living, kind of thing.
Now, this all happened when you were living in Iowa, correct?
Well, no, actually close. I've been all over the country. I went Minnesota, Iowa, Minnesota, California, Maine. And this actually happened. We just moved to Maine and had my parents' blessing for a new adventure here in Maine. They were like, crazy cool, you go kids, kind of thing. We'll be there for lobster and everything. And 3 weeks later, after moving, my dad had a stroke. So like nothing was unpacked. I was flying back and forth for all of 2005. And it, for people who, the illness is one thing. And, I don't know if my mom wants me to talk about this, but I'm going to. The financial devastation is another. I mean, I've never seen, because they owned a business together, and just totally, it was just a nightmare from every aspect. But we all pulled through. We all contributed, and we all helped everybody do everything they needed to do. But so medical, I'm really in tune to people's struggles and things they go through. And I've kind of always been that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't just come and work, frustrate you or suffer. You don't suffer in just one area. It seems to encompass so many more areas that are affected.
Yeah.
And you can kind of get caught off guard.
You can get very caught off guard. And as a caregiver, learning, like my mom had to learn how to take care of her own self, because you give so much of yourself to keep the other person alive and so forth. And yeah, really, really a lot of learning. And if you back that up, so I'm 52. My youngest sibling right now is 35. Back that all the way up, and you're dealing with kids and their father being ill. It was quite something. Yeah, they don't know, they never really got to know him in their adult ages like I know him.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Well, what started now but you have always journaled. So you consider yourself to be a writer from the
I
very
do.
get-go. How young were you when you picked up the pen?
3 probably. Yeah. Yeah, really, truly 3, 4, 5. So in kindergarten, I was like, I'm going to be a writer. And she's like, yes, you probably are, kind of thing. She was so cute. She encouraged everything. The exercise that was just where I would just bury my head and be like, please, no. It was the one where they give you lines and then the space at the top to draw the picture. I can write all day long, but I can't draw at all. So it was pretty funny. So yeah, that was my worst nightmare in elementary school, was giving me lined paper with a space to actually draw something that represents what you wrote. I'm like, good luck. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
So you wrote, from some of the titles that I wrote, how many children's books have you written?
Geez, so 5,
5.
4 or 5. Let me see, 5. Yeah, 5
And why are
children's
you
books.
drawn to the children? What
Um,
is there?
well, I have 4 boys myself.
Mhm.
They're now 20, 22, 24, and 26.
They grew up.
They grew up, yeah. So I have to change my rhetoric. They're like adult sons now, or whatever is politically correct, so they don't go mom. But I have always, since I've been little, little kid, just loved kids books. I mean, I've read every kids book that there is, and I actually love to go on Amazon and review children's books too. People
Oh,
send me a lot of children's books to review. It's just sort of my thing. And
mhm,
so I jumped at the chance to work with Sally Huss.
mhm.
Sally Huss is over 80. She is on the 3 of the children's books I've written. They're with her. She's the illustrator and all
Oh,
of it.
yeah.
And she's so cool. She's a former tennis pro, like
Oh,
former Wimbledon finalist.
oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't want to get that wrong, because she's not a tennis, she's a professional tennis player, whatever you want to call that, but a Wimbledon finalist.
Uh-huh.
And who happens to also be so talented that she's an artist as well. She had art galleries, and so I'm fascinated by children. I'm fascinated by people, basically. I really love older people, though. I think there's such wisdom. If
Mhm.
you stop and pause and are respectful and pay attention, people will
Mhm.
teach you stuff.
Mhm. Yeah. It's
But
kind of fun the way they teach you, isn't it? You know,
yes,
they just say, and we don't know.
no, I don't. There's a sign. I don't know if you can see it. I'm pointing to it. We're on video a little bit here too, but there's a white sign in the background that when I give Sally an idea that she doesn't like, she's like, nope, carry on. And so there's a sign in the back of me that says carry on, and she's illustrated it.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah.
Well, tell me why you decided that this book needed to be written, the Change Guidebook,
Yeah.
your new book.
Yeah. Well, when I first started to write this, it wasn't with the pandemic in mind. There was no pandemic going on when I signed to write this book.
Yeah.
So surprise. And I chose not to write about the pandemic too much in it, because I wanted it to be not completely about that. But it's turned out to be pretty useful for the pandemic. It meets you in that moment of uncertainty and fear and all the things that are going on.
Yeah.
Really, really deep down in the heart of this book, though, I didn't feel like there was a great book on helping people navigate change. I was searching for it in my own life because of everything that had happened with my dad and everything. I'm like, where is the book on how to navigate this stuff? There's navigate grief, there's navigate this, navigate that, but like a true from the heart, actual relatable book about how to navigate change.
Mhm.
And that's where it came from. Just right from here, right from my heart.
How to do change.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a YouTube listener, and
Mm.
I like to listen to all of the news stories, and they can certainly get you in a funk, because news isn't too good these days.
No, it's not. I turned it off this morning, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, you chose to turn it off right in the middle of the interview. But so anyway, yes, I totally agree. We're going through so much change, never to return where we came from. That's a big, that's what almost got me down, because I think there's some really good history back there that I've enjoyed, that taught me so much, that allowed me to be. And yet we all know childhood creates stuff that we spend our adult life getting through. But even so, live on the same block with the same people for 10, 15 years. Awesome. Play
Yeah.
in the yard with the neighborhood. Awesome. So I want to know just how you, um, the, the book that you wrote has 20 people in it, and they share. I'm curious how you chose those people. And I'm also curious how their stories support your point.
Sure. So, yes. So the structure of the book is narrative from me, two exercises, and then two stories. And
Okay.
so I really wanted to have people share stories that were relatable to show how they navigated change, navigated something difficult, navigated something from world class and sustained it, or whatever it was that, that they needed to talk about. And
Mhm.
so I put a note out to my friends and I just said, hey, I'm writing a book. Would you like to contribute a story? What's the book about? It's
Yeah.
about change. I'd like you to write a story about how you navigated change. Okay.
Mhm.
Every single one of these people said yes right off the bat, with no urging, prying, pleading, begging,
Yes.
anything.
Yeah.
And that alone for me, as I was writing, created the coolest energy. This book has such neat energy behind it. I mean, it goes, so in the book there's 10 points of change that we
Mhm.
go, that I believe that
Right.
we go through as people. Everything from assessment to impact, there's 10 points in there.
Yeah.
And so two people illustrate the point. So there's two stories for each point, therefore
Okay.
20 people.
Yeah.
And it's people like Haley Stark, who was a friend of our son Quade. So she's now not a teenager, but she writes a story in her book about having a stroke as a
Mhm.
teenager, a spinal stroke as a teenager.
Wow.
And she talks about the impact she has on other people talking about that. She wrote her own book and now she goes to Harvard.
Uh-huh.
So I think that's pretty special. So the book has Sally Huss is in it, for example, but the book has people that are 20 and people that are 80, people that are
Yeah.
40, 50, every age is represented, all different types of people from different walks of life, everything. And it just sort of happened.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think we're all here put on earth to meet our struggles, to
Mm.
experience our struggles, and to meet them. Some of them we don't do as well as we do others, but I agree that one of our purposes here is to manage those times of challenge.
Oh yeah. And I think this book helps with that. Whether you have a change that you didn't see coming, don't want, club you don't want to join, that whole thing. Or it helps you also choose to navigate something that you want to intentionally change about yourself. So the process works either way.
Mhm.
I do kind of put a caveat in there with the first one though. Like I would never feel comfortable saying like, oh, major, hi dad, you had a stroke. Well, here's a book, okay. So I don't mean it like that at all. I do think there's a time and a place when you're ready to heal and and move forward. And it's kind of like a decision like my dad made. He's like, I'm deciding to survive this if I can. I'm going to put all my, eggs in the survival basket and keep going. And so I think a lot of what he did is sort of the basis for some of these things. But the whole network I own, the Best Ever You Network, back in 2008, I founded it on these principles, the 10 points of change and the 6 Best Ever You principles. And I designed them and developed them kind of after seeing what we were going through.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, I like your point that you can't just buy a book and give it to somebody
oh,
and say, read it.
yeah,
It'll help you through it. I
you
was
kind of can, but you kind of can't.
right.
It depends. Yeah.
I have to say, I made that mistake with grieving.
Yeah.
I just interviewed somebody that had written a grief book. I was so excited about it because it was indeed a handbook to help know or how, with exercises,
Yeah.
to help her transition through. And I gave it to a friend, but it was too early to give
Yeah.
to her because she can't just not open it. But she has, there's a
Yeah, I
bit
get it. Yeah. This is the same thing. Yeah. Yeah. Because right off the bat, it's like, let's take an assessment. Well, if something dramatic has happened,
yeah.
I'd be careful. And I'm not saying, it doesn't work, but I'm saying there's a time and a place for things to hand people a book or to tell people to buy a book or something like that. So for that part, now, I intentionally put a lot about weight loss in here because I do, and career changes and things like that. Because I do think you can hand somebody a book for that and go, here, this is really a cool book to work through, helping you do this or that or another thing. And so I have clients this is a process I've used myself. I have clients that use this, on and on. This is tried, true, and tested for years now in my life coaching practice. So so it's fun in that regard to see somebody, I've seen people release, 150 pounds using this.
Wow.
Yeah, really some cool changes.
Well, I think everybody put on COVID pounds.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah, me included. I write about that in this. I'm like, I'm going to use my own process to take these 20 pounds off. Sorry. But I'm honest about it. Down the hatch went a lot of Doritos during COVID. Sorry, Doritos.
Yeah. Can you tell us those 10 different areas?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Assess. I'll just read them off. And assess, choose, discover, grow, support, implement, accept, engage, master, and impact. Yeah. So it's divided into 3 chunks, if you will, or 3 sections: your heart, your truths, and your energy. And so certain points of the 10 points of change go with your heart, certain parts go with your authentic you, and certain parts go taking action. So certain points.
And
so
taking action is with energy.
Yeah, energy, you go where you place your energy. I truly believe that when you think with your heart, you show up authentically, and you understand that you're going to go where you place your energy, your actions, anything's pretty much possible. And the process goes from there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are the topics of change that are so important right now?
Well, I think what I'm seeing over and over again are people navigating whether they want to go back to work or not, if they want to work from home, if they want to schlep to the office, those types of things. I'm seeing people. I don't think there's anything quite like a pandemic to help you understand that we aren't entitled to time. And so I'm seeing a lot of people make adjustments based on that. I say that over and over again. We are not entitled to time. You're not entitled to time. You're not entitled to time. And I think the pandemic, for some people, gave them a pause to, barring that they weren't ill, which, I don't know about you, but I had COVID and it was scary, very scary sick, and I was vaccinated. But so, take it with a little bit of a grain of salt here. if you can, COVID created a pause for people to sort of think about their life a little bit and what they were doing. And it was a forced pause. And a lot of people decided they didn't want to go back, didn't want to do what they were doing anymore. They didn't want to go back to that life. It's way better to take care of your kids, or way better to work from home. It's, you realized that what you were going through before to do things. And I think people are making a lot of adjustments. People have moved to different places. They've moved out of busy. And it's tough to go back to that. I know we need to, but I hear it that's what I hear it on the news. We got to go back. And
Yeah.
it's like, I do, but at what cost?
Yeah. I'm connected with some organizations that do volunteer work, and they're all like, we need more help. We need more help.
Oh yeah.
So I know that's a problem, and they're hiring too. There's another issue with hiring. But I think we can go back to those being aware that we must be the monitors of the value of our lives. So, don't get ourselves in the ruts where we're overworking, going forward.
Yeah.
It's one of your 10 make decisions, right? Did I change the
Yeah,
name?
no, it is choose, choose, discover, grow, support, all of those things. And so there's a there's a free handout, if you will, a free download that I give people. It's on my website. It's besteveryou.com/change guidebook. You can go there, whether you bought the book or not, and download a free assessment, and it goes with chapters 1 and 2 of the book. And so if you're in that mode right now where you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know what I want to do, all that stuff, that's a really good place to start. It's really helpful. It's an assessment that I actually use in my own life. So I gave you what I use. I do that assessment during the week of my birthday, around my birthday, every year in September, and kind of just take a good self check and see where I'm at. And it's decently open-ended. You don't have to decide anything at that point. That's chapter 2.
Oh, good.
Yeah. You do need to take action in my book. It definitely, the whole book is a masterclass in change. So if you want to get a masterclass certification for the cost of the book, you can take it all the way there. It's on that same website, besteveryou.com/change guidebook. And if you don't like to write in the book, I also put all of the exercises on the website too. So you can if you want to make one change and then another, you can download multiple copies of the exercises, or you can buy 3 books if you want. Yeah, that'd be good.
Now, who is handling your book?
It's published by HCI, but it's distributed by Simon Schuster. So both those 2 companies go hand in hand to publish the Change Guidebook, and it's publish and distribute the Change Guidebook. So my Percolate, Let Your Best Self Filter Through is Hay House and Penguin Random House, and this one is HCI and Simon & Schuster. So.
But can we buy all those on Amazon?
Amazon, yeah, Amazon, Barnes and Noble. It's wherever. It is literally wherever books are sold. You can go into your independent bookstore and ask for a copy of it, and they'll order it for you.
And how are sales going?
Sales are going well. Yeah. It's
1 month, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We've sold thousands of books, which is pretty cool. It's tricky. I'll tell you, it's one thing to write a book. It's another thing to market and sell it. And it's really hard if you're not, like famous, it's more difficult if you're not super famous to get sales going. And so I actually think Joyce, that I thank every reader personally. I have sent thousands of thank yous out. Thank you for reading not kidding. Thank you for reading my book. Thank you for reading my book, because it's meaningful to me. They become part of my family almost. It's like, thank you. And people
they're reading your book.
Well, because they'll send me notes. People send me notes in DMs and Twitter, Facebook. Or I've got your book. I'm reading it. I love it. I've got it. I hate it. I love it. I hate, whatever. But mostly people take the time to say that they love the book. It's helped them.
Mhm.
There's like 64 reviews already on Amazon, all 5-star. I'm stunned. Yeah, I'm like, all right, that's cool.
And you responded to every one of those?
I really did. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
such good gratitude. That
That's
is.
that's the root of me though, is gratitude. Yeah. I root right in there. Um, as a human being who has personally nearly lost her life a couple of times through food allergic reactions, my whole being is gratitude, because I really know what it's like to not be here. It's scary. And yeah, so I wake up in the morning and I have a different approach. I am like, oh, good, kind of thing. And after seeing my dad and all of his struggles and so forth, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is
I'm
it
I'm
too
very grateful.
is it too much for me to say, what is your allergies?
Oh,
What are
no,
they?
you can ask. I'm an open book. So I have 4 life-threatening food allergies on board. They're peanut, tree nut,
Oh, yeah.
fish, and shellfish, and they are all,
Yeah.
yep. And I'm in Maine. They are all life-threatening. No joke. I developed food allergies in my late 20s. Uh,
Really?
yep, after a pregnancy. Yep.
Oh,
And I believe that, and I'm so glad it went this way. I believe that my child didn't get the allergies. I did. And I'm so happy, because these moms out there with all these kids with food allergies, there's like 1 in 13 kids with food allergies. These moms
really?
and dads and families are so stressed out because it's life threatening. We actually lose children
Oh,
from
really?
candy bars and peanut flour and pudding. And my co-founder, I co-founded the Food Allergy Zone, and I'm a spokesperson for FACT, which is a big food allergy organization. My co-founder, he lost his child, his son, to while they were on vacation celebrating his graduation, to peanut flour in pudding.
Pudding?
Pudding. I don't know. And thank you. Yeah, I'm sure they said the same thing. This couldn't possibly have anything in it, kind of thing. And they lost their child, and it's like, oh my gosh. And so I made it a mission. I navigated just like everybody else, only I'm older and I can do things for myself, but I've made it a mission to really help people stay alive and thrive with food allergies. I do as much as I can. And that's the reason why I wrote that book, A Lesson for Every Child Learning About Food Allergies, with Sally, because
Oh,
it's used in schools.
oh, it
And
is.
that's actually the best-selling book of all the books. That's the one that sells the most. It's coming on Amazon since it came out, and I am so grateful. I don't take a dime for it, and
Right.
I no, I don't. Nothing, and
That,
I love it.
well, how would parents know? Just like those parents were
Yeah.
totally caught off guard because what was it even listed on the um, back of the pudding?
No, it's a buffet. Like
Yeah.
they didn't know. Yeah, they had no idea. Yeah, normally you can navigate fairly well, by labels and so forth. But when it comes to other people's cooking, restaurants, buffets, and so forth, you're at the mercy of people really checking things out for you. Like when I sit down at a restaurant, there's a whole, hi, I have food allergies. Here they are. Keep me alive. That kind of thing. There's a discussion that goes on. So I'm a really bad dinner date.
Well, I imagine the restaurants kind of go, oh
They're
no,
pretty good.
that
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's some that are really good, and others where they shuck peanuts on the floor, so you can't go there and stuff like that. So,
oh yeah.
but yeah, we cook a lot and we're very careful. And my family knows how to take care of me in an emergency. They would know how to take care of any child around them if they ever had an emergency. They're all trained, everything. But yeah, that's a special book, and it's about a child who goes into a classroom. He has food allergies. He goes into a classroom, and with the permission of his parents and teacher, he tells the classroom all about his food allergies. And they ask questions and all this stuff. And so it's, instead of getting bullied, he gets loved, because
Mm,
a lot of these kids get bullied and mean things happen and stuff like that. So it's lessons all around in
mm,
that book.
yeah.
And I just think Sally did such a great job with that book. I'm
I
like, hey, Sally, you want to do this? And she's like, yes, I do. I'm like, all right.
Of
So,
course I do.
yeah,
Yes.
she's cool.
Yeah.
She's somebody you need to have on. Sally Huss. Yeah, please. She's so
right.
cool. I'll connect you.
Oh, good. Um, when I think about eating, I was on a trip not too long ago, and one of the things they always ask about on trips that go distances, what are your food allergies? Well, I'm a gluten-free girl in that I just need to. My knuckles swell when I
Yeah.
eat gluten.
Same. Yeah.
And so it's minor, so minor compared to what you're talking about. But it was this, we were in a location and we had the same chef every day.
Mhm.
He was so on top of it. I was so impressed. I'd never been treated so well that somebody took my allergies seriously. And
Same.
clearly my food was separate, and there were like 8 others in the group. I could not believe. It is amazing when that type of support comes.
Yeah. You should write a blog and put it up on Best Ever You about who that is and what it was, because I bet families, people, everybody would love to know that, because it's tricky out there. One of the best places I have ever been where I got treated very seriously with food allergies was Disney.
I bet they would.
That was cool. I'm like,
Right.
wow, I can actually eat that. And they're like, yes, you can. I don't have to worry. No, you don't. We promise, kind of thing. Yep, that was pretty cool. And I that was my first trip to Disney as an adult. And what a joy that was. I got to play cards with Mickey Mouse and eat. It was it was a blast. I literally played cards with Mickey Mouse and he beat me. Gosh.
Oh, well, he's practiced a lot.
Yeah, I think he's supposed to win.
So let's see here. You have another question here. What you do, you mean by align your heart, truths, and energy? What do you mean by that?
Yeah. Well, again, I think that so heart, truth, and energy, that's the core of the book. And I think that we spend a lot of time in our heads
Yes.
thinking all the time. And I think we need to go right here and think with our hearts. I have my hands over my heart kind of crossed. And I think we need to think from here more. And it's tricky to get people to go from their heads to their hearts. But when they do, yeah, it's hard, because we're very good overthinkers.
Yes, we are.
Yes. And so to change, I think you need to make a change, or to even deal with a change that came your way that you didn't expect. And I think you need to think with your brain, but you need to really think from your heart and trust it, and understand it, and hear it, and create the pause enough to hear your heart and your soul and your energy and your whatever it is, that gut intuition, even, if you will, whatever that is, pay attention to it.
Do you have an exercise in your book that can move somebody from their head to their heart?
Yeah, I have some calming exercises and some things I say and do. Generally, sometimes you have to work with me to get that to happen, because people just don't get it. They don't understand how to slow down. My best friend said, I still don't get it. And you've written a book and I'm your best friend. And I'm like, listen, you need to calm down.
Do you have one for honesty in there?
Yes. Yeah. And so anyway, but sitting still, like when I was a kid, I learned this in 3rd grade, actually. The teacher would probably get so sick of us, she'd give us a timeout. But you had to cross your arms and put them on your desk forward and put your head down. And while you're doing that, you're like, okay, do I go to sleep? Do I drool? Do I draw? What am I going to do now? But as a young age, I was taught that. I'm like, oh, okay, we all are going to chill out now for a while. And it was sort of like a little mini, I don't think it was more than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But at the time, it felt like forever. And it's funny, I still do that to this day. I'll just kind of put my head down and just be like, okay, I want to chill out. And when you do that, sometimes people go through, they're sitting there trying to chill out, and they go through list after list after like grocery list, the things they got to do, the things they forgot.
Furniture. I always
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And so it can take people, I had clients where it's taken an hour to finally get the chatter out of their heads.
Yeah.
And then your heart then you have room for your heart to,
Yeah.
to hear it. So that's kind of where I'm going with that. But your truths, I believe, is your authentic you. I think we do spend a lot of time doing fake yous, fake me's, whatever people want us to be, what they think we should be, what they, I just, yeah, it's all over the map, what your parents want you to be, and I think that your heart and authentic you really go hand in hand, like just like a glove. If you're trained to know how to do that, if you're not trained to know how to do that, read the book, come see me or whatever, and I'll show you how to do that, to hear your heart and to be authentically you and strip away all that other stuff. And then the other thing is, I said energy, action, whatever you want to call it, you're going to go where you place your focus, your energy, your action, if I walk down the street, I'm going down the street. If I sit here, I'm sitting here. You're going to go and do what you're going to do. But when you put your heart to it, when you put your authentic you to it, and when you align your energy and actions with it, boy, are you going to do cool things. And I think anything's possible at that point with that open growth mindset versus a closed one. You're going to do what you want to do. Yeah. Beautiful. But sometimes to get that authentic you out there, it requires, bubble wrap.
Bubble wrap.
Yeah, bubble wrap. I talk about two things. I talk about bubble wrap and being a pretzel a lot. I think sometimes the world beats you up a little bit. You trying to be you, and you need to a layer of bubble wrap to be you. It's like, stop picking on me. I want to do this. And like, even when when I quit my job in the financial services industry to start the Best Ever You Network back in 2007, I actually got a call from somebody who was like, I want that domain. I'm like, well, sorry, I've got it.
Oh, no.
Sorry, dude. I had a domain thief trying to get anyway. So then, that creates like a boundary, which people hate boundaries. So, trying to jump over it. How he jumped over it was this. He goes, you are nothing but a washed up 40 something mom of, soccer players. It was like, you're nothing but a washed up soccer mom is basically what he said to me. And I listened for a second.
Nice.
Dude, I went, yeah, he was just viciously rude. He's like, I want that. I own all the domains with best on them. And I want this. And blah, blah. I'm like, no. And he goes, and when I kept saying no, he's like, attacking. And he called me a washed up soccer mom. And I'm like, I said, dude, just like that, dude, my kids don't dude, my kids don't even play soccer. And I hung up because I have 4 baseball players. I'm like, I wish I could go back and say more, but that's what came out of my mouth.
Well, the dude probably had him.
Yeah. But anyway, so, and then the pretzel part is, there's a pretzel theory in this book, and it's, just, we create, I had my son do this. It's very funny. My son Quade's a great kid. I had him sit on the floor and I said, Quade, put your right foot over your left ear.
Oh my gosh.
And hold on. Yeah. And your left foot over your right ear. And I know he was young enough to try and pull it off. He's like, what am I doing? I'm like, okay, theory tested. You're my pretzel. And he goes, oh, mom, kind of thing. And I wrote about him in the book. But, people morph.
Can you even do that?
No, you can't. In the book, I'm like, don't try this. It's ridiculous, please. But I knew he was young enough to try. Just a part of it. But, it was like, put your hand here, your leg here, voila, you're a pretzel. And this is the stuff we go through as people to please other people.
Yeah.
We change. I mean, pick a shape of a pretzel and we morph into it to fit in and please people and all this stuff versus walking around and just being authentically us. And so my pretzel theory is in this book, and it is profound, let me tell you. But it makes its point, stop morphing into pretzel shapes for people. Just be you.
Yeah.
If you want to be a pretzel, great, but otherwise don't.
Yeah, that's
But
really
that was really
yeah.
funny with Quaid.
Bless his son's heart.
Yeah.
He's trying so hard.
Bless his heart too, because he lets me talk about him and he's cool about it. It's all cleared. And I'll tell him I talked about you or whatever, but he's a story in the book too.
Is he?
Yeah, he sure is. I
How
said,
old
"Look,
is he?
he's
Which one
20
is he?
now. He
Oh,
wrote it when he was about 18, but yeah, or 19 actually, but he's 20 now. He'll be 21 in November. And he talks about um navigating COVID. He talks about so he made this decision to graduate early from college, from high school, and he talks about that and applying for college and what happened, which is quite a story.
mm,
And then he talks about getting to college, which he goes to Rochester Institute of Technology. He's a senior now up in Rochester, New York. And he talks about getting there and basically having to turn around and be at home for COVID. Which, if you think about it, all of those graduates in that year
yeah.
had to do that. It's like, I'm free. Nope. You're back home, kid. But he talks about navigating COVID. Yeah, and bless their hearts, they were safe and so forth. But we had 3 out of the 4 kids in college. And guess where they wound up? Home. We had all 4 kids at home, which was super cool from a mom's standpoint of view. Very stressful, making sure people didn't get sick, and it's like herding cats in a way too, because you're like, no, you can't.
Yeah.
A lot of frustration with, no, you can't go there, no, you can't do that, no, and more no. Still a little bit that way, but they're all vaccinated and stuff. But yeah.
I heard an interesting thing today from a doctor that was interviewed, and he said that a lot of people are getting this new variant COVID test, or what's the new one called?
Like B2.
No, not the test,
Or is, oh, I don't know.
disease. But anyway, the new variant that came in last.
Yeah, I'll have to look, because
And he said a lot of those are even, and it's you see it more in people that have had some of the tests, some of the shots.
Yep.
And he said it's just that getting the shot doesn't mean you're bulletproof.
Right.
It means you have more resistance, but you're not bulletproof. So you can still get it. So he said he really was suggesting that if taking precautions, even still,
Yeah.
like when you fly in a plane, even though it's crystal clear air, you never know.
No, you don't. And we all had breakthrough COVID, is what they call that. We're all vaccinated and boosted and so forth. And our entire household, including our college athlete, all at once, we all got COVID all at once.
Well,
in
that
November.
nice.
What?
I mean, not nice, but good.
No. Yeah, it was really interesting trying to walk the new puppies, because we were all so sick. We were like, who's the least sickest today? You're in charge, kind of thing. But we all had it, and I ended up with it. Probably the worst. The cough lingered for 6 weeks. I had to cancel all my shows and obligations and so forth all the way. It lingered from November 1st all the way up until Christmas.
Wow.
Like, just was awful. My husband and I had a cough. The kids, not so bad. One of our kids kept testing positive and had no symptoms. Thank you.
That's interesting.
Yeah. But then, and then my son's girlfriend, who has been boosted and all that stuff, has COVID this past week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, badly too.
Oh,
had to go get an inhaler and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, it's brewing around. I'm like, wow, those are some big crowds with COVID brewing, but I don't know. Who am I to?
Well, this doctor really recommended not totally throwing the mask away, limiting big crowds, all of the other stuff that we heard about, but felt maybe it was weakening, and so we didn't have to be as vigilant.
So. Yeah, with my immune system, I tend to keep my mask on.
Yeah.
When I go out, stuff like that. I'm just a little bit more careful, and I don't know why, but I love to Lysol the bottoms of my shoes. I walk. Yeah, I do. Isn't that strange? There's
Yeah.
some fun facts for you. Yeah, I spray the bottoms of my shoes like after I walk somewhere public, like if I go to the grocery store or whatever, before I get in the car, I just spray the bottoms of my shoes.
That is interesting. You're the first. I've never
Yeah,
heard of it.
I'm going to be the inventor of the shoe, the shoe Lysol or something. You just run your feet through. Well, because you think about it, you're
Yeah.
walking. Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
they say shoes are really some of the most dirtiest things. So I'm like,
Well, I
whatever.
guess so.
Yeah.
Really?
Anyway,
Hmm.
I was
Well,
more vigilant during COVID than I am now. I can't say that like during normal times I would let go around Lysoling my shoes.
yeah.
But if picture me like spraying Lysol all over myself during COVID,
You
that's kind
did
of
it?
no,
No.
no.
Oh,
But I felt like it.
yes.
It's just like,
Anything.
please, yeah,
Anything.
yeah, anything to just not get this, and you ended up getting it anyway. But I did. No, I would just sanitize my hands, keep a mask on, and I did wipe my shoes off every once in a while,
Yeah.
depending on where I was. Yeah.
Well, you know what this time is that I'm about to announce?
Boo.
Over, Elizabeth. Our
No.
time is gone. But I've enjoyed it so much.
Yeah,
I-
you're fun.
I'd like to ask you about one question.
Sure.
What, if I may?
Please.
Okay. What could you share is your most successful moment in this journey you've been on?
Oh my.
That's kind of a heavy
Can it be
one.
moments or just one moment? I really like personally or professionally. Let me just ask you that, because my kids born are pretty. That's what I consider. They're my thing.
Yeah.
My kids and my family, my kids, my husband, my family.
Mhm.
If you could lump that all into like one successful thing, that's what fuels me toward everything. They're really cool people. They're
Yeah.
four really nice boys. They're going to be 21, 23, 25, and 27. I've been married to my husband forever. And we just all, I think one of the successful things about being married a long time and having kids and not fighting and, because they don't fight, the boys don't fight or anything. It's really cool. I've seen one fight in all the years, is navigating change. I'll go back to it and just that. And they've grown up with two sayings on the fridge. #gratitude. Like last year as a joke, I bought them all matching t-shirts that says #gratitude on them. And they actually wear them. So it turned out to be kind of cool. I made them like baseball shirts with #gratitude on them. And then they have another sign: be careful when you follow the masses, for sometimes the M is silent.
Oh.
And those are the two things that hung on the fridge their whole childhood. And so yeah, I love those guys. I'm the sole female. The animals in the house are all female.
So
Like a
female.
frat house in here.
Yes.
It is.
Testosterone walking around there.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well-
that's my moment. It wouldn't be a book I've written or published or anything. It's my family.
Yeah. Sounds like you have a very strong family.
Yeah.
And that's wonderful to hear and see.
Yeah.
So thank you. I really appreciate the sharing your new book, the Change Guidebook, when the giveaway that's on the website for them to go to. They can listen to you by going to your website, which is besteveryou.com. And then you're on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube.
Yeah.
You're on all of those.
Yeah. Look for the check mark. That's me when it's a check mark. It's verified and all that good stuff. And yeah, that's where I am. I hang out on Twitter a lot. I admit it.
And Amazon, it sounds like right now.
Yeah, I do. I hang out a lot on Amazon, checking the reviews and seeing how the book's doing and stuff like that. Silly stuff that really probably doesn't matter in the long run, but it's important right
No,
now.
I think it does. I think people are so shocked and pleased and excited that I do think it's a positive movement.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I'm
For
so
you.
grateful for all the energy that people have put forth with
Mhm.
supporting the book. It's moments like this. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here and chat with you and all that stuff, because it's moments like this that really fuel the book moving around the world, which is my goal. I just want it to move organically around the world. Like
Yes.
somebody to tell somebody to tell somebody to tell somebody is my thing. And that's who I am.
Yeah. Well, I want to say thanks again, and I'll be coming over next week.
Perfect. Come on for a jump in the pool. If you come to Maine, wouldn't that be fun? Yes.
Oh yes, it's hot. It's warm there.
Oh no. You no, it's 50.
We're
So-
kidding. Okay.
but
I'm
it
no,
will
warm
be. I do believe summer will make an appearance.
Okay.
Usually it's by now. This is a cold summer so far. It's not summer quite yet, but I do have a heated pool, so
Okay.
but
Well,
not
thanks.
today.
All right. Now, you all have just heard a wonderful interview with Elizabeth. She shared so much, and she's also left you, I hope, with the implanted idea that there's more for you to get from her book. If not directly with exercises, then certainly through the stories that she had chosen very carefully for this book, so that you can be supported in your change, so you can have a graceful change, so you can have a powerful change. Heart,
True.
in your heart, in your what, Elizabeth?
Truths
Truths,
and your energy.
energy. Yes, thank you.
Uh-huh.
I better get that book quick. So anyway, I will hope that you will do as I always ask you to do, and that is share this podcast, because it sounds like there couldn't be too many of us that might not benefit from reading this book. So I thank you again for being here. Have a great week. Stay safe. Take up some of those COVID warnings and wear a mask in big crowds. But you might want to do a little of that just to keep you healthy and safe, which we all want you to be. So anyway, thank you. I'm looking forward to next week, and you're going to love it just as you've loved this hour with Elizabeth. Thank you very much for being here. Have a great day.
Joyce Buford returns next week at the same time for another edition of Second Wind. Through the Joyce Buford Empowerment System, women are receiving the support they need through their transitions and are able to reclaim their true purpose with confidence. They receive the tools they need to map out new lives. You can find out more about her coaching services at joycebufordempowers.com.